And we're live, streaming to you from the footsteps of New York City. We are Music Matters with Jason Tramm, and we're delighted that you could join us for our unique podcast community, where we explore the triumphs and challenges of the performing arts world as seen through the eyes of distinguished artists. My name is Jason Tramm, and I'm a conductor. I've been in the music business for 25 years as a conductor, music director, music professor, and lots of other things, and I'm so delighted that you can be here. Here on Music Matters, we talk about all genres of music, from the classical to the rock to everything in between. And we're so excited you can be here today. We have a wonderful show. Please remember to subscribe to us on YouTube and smash that bell icon for the most up-to-date information on our upcoming guests and topics. To see our over 168 past episodes, go on our website at www.jasontram.net. Again, that's www.jasontram.net. You can also see us on the radio in New York City, or hear us on the radio in New York City on Saturdays from 11:30 to noon at WMCA at 102.3 FM on 570 AM. So thank you so much for being here. We have a wonderful guest today. We've got Peoria, Illinois' prog rock band, The Truth Council, who just put out their new EP not too long ago, and we're here to talk to them. So welcome, Truth Council.
Thank you.
How's it going?
It's going. You guys are in a heat wave out there, huh?
We are. It is.
Well, we got a little bit of a cool. We had it a couple weeks ago. It was really brutal, the 90s out here, and it's way too early in the season for this type of weather.
I agree.
So breaking all sorts of records. So tell us about the name, The Truth Council. Where did it come from? I always love to talk about band names and see where they evolved from. And how did you guys meet up?
The name came from just I needed something that I knew, or after I searched a little bit, no one else had. So just a couple of words that I don't know that kind of fit together. And now that I think about it more, there's I don't want to say there's truth in our music, but it's real music. It's all real instruments, real singers.
No tracking
live. We don't track anything. I
always appreciate that. People can actually play their instruments and not fake it or flub it. It's the real deal. When I go see bands.
And it drives me nuts because we work so hard. You know, we're avid rehearsers, and we put a lot of time in, and then you go see someone push an iPad and they got 3-part harmony and keyboards going. Ugh.
I'm a conductor, and I work with choruses and orchestras, and when I hear a choir on the stage and there's no choir, I get furious. Like, what am I paying for?
Exactly. Totally.
The average concert goer doesn't realize what they're hearing is not real. Musicians get it, but the average Joe Schmo does not.
It's quite a change in the music industry. You look at the great bands like Rush, or those guys they can get up there and play. The talent and the years of practice, and that's what I love about the rock and roll, when people do it right.
Right, very much so.
Why don't we introduce yourselves? Tell us who you are, what instruments you play.
My name is John Masalia. I play bass, a little bit of keyboards, and I sing background vocals.
Welcome, John.
I'm Mitch Bland. I'm the singer for the Truth Council. Play acoustic guitar as well.
I'm Jason, lead guitar.
Great name.
And our drummer is not here today. His name is Brock.
Awesome. Well, you guys are really rocking. I loved listening to your EP. I went through the whole thing twice, and my kids listened to it too. And that's always exciting when we get lots of different artists and bands, and we hear one we like. We're like, take it apart and just really enjoy it. And I really enjoyed your video. I think you guys are just great and really great musically, and had a lot to say, emotionally, and it was really exciting. It's always exciting for me to discover a new band I like, and it's
cool.
It was a lot of fun listening to you guys.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So how did you guys meet, or did you play together in other bands? There's always I love the story. Everyone, I played with somebody here, we came together, and what made a click between the four of you?
Jeez.
Tag in.
I think the friendships go back longer than the bandmates. I've known John since probably 1996. Different cover bands we were in, and he filled in with me a few times in my band, and then we hooked up in 2014. We were in a band together called the Unhandsome Devils, just a local fun cover band. Man, Jason and I met, I don't know, probably 2001 maybe.
I was in a band called Fear Clowns, and we were looking for a singer, and my drummer was trying to recruit Mitch, and it wasn't really Mitch's kind of music, and he was already in a very successful cover band and didn't really want to make the jump, but the friendship's always been there, and we have a really good local music scene here in the Peoria area, where I'd say there's probably at any given time a dozen or more bands, covers and originals, and I'd say 98% of us are all friends.
Love to hear that, because in the end, it's a tough world. The music world is a tough one regardless of genre, any genre, and it was made even worse by COVID this year. Certainly, we're going to talk about that later on. So, so you guys have been playing around. How did you know it would gel? When did it start to gel? How long has the Truth Council been together?
I came up with the idea January of 2019, and I had started, me personally, backing up some original solo artists in the area. And I kind of got the idea, thought, well, if these guys can do it, I can. And I got, I was playing with Jason, backing up another one of these solo artists. So I called him because I kind of thought he would be into what I was proposing style-wise. And the drummer is my son.
Oh, cool.
So I
instant ensemble.
Be here, you're playing, or you're grounded. He's 23, so I don't really ground him, but his Christmas will suck if he doesn't play.
Must be hard to take those tempos. Who sets the tempo, the bass player or the drummer?
Yeah, I know.
But you guys make for a natural rhythm section. That's great.
He is a big Mike Portnoy fan, and so am I. So when I hear him play, I can hear bits and pieces of Mike's style, and it is for me, it is very easy to follow and anticipate what he does. So yes, that, and we did that for like a year, and we did an EP that came out in March of 2020. And I sang on that, but live, I couldn't. I've never sang, and I've never been a lead singer before. I found that, and play bass, I found it very challenging. And I asked the other two guys,
especially with the challenging bass lines, with the really hard bass lines. Boy, I just had a guy on who was in a kind of like a glam band. He plays pretty not as hard bass lines as you. Let's put it that way. The parts weren't as tricky, but I mean, when you're playing really technical lines, singing and playing so hard.
Very much so. So I approached Mitch about seeing if he was interested. He had just had vocals or neck surgery that affected his vocals, so he wasn't quite ready yet. But then about, I don't know, 6 months later, maybe 4 months, he jumped in and started coming to practices, and it fell together pretty quick. So, and I've always
synchronicity when it works,
so
it just sparks, right?
It did. We have a good core here. So it works.
So describe the period just before COVID. I know we were all all of us were gathering momentum. There were concerts on, the tours on the horizon, everything's happening, and all of a sudden, bam. What was it like for you guys?
We literally dropped our first EP on March 5th, and like the next week, shut down.
So we never got to play or really promote it.
No, nothing.
Oh no,
maybe in 2 shows to promote that album.
Yeah, last year we played twice. Yeah, to promote it. So this year so far we have a show next week. We'll have played 5 times this year so far. So it's slowly picking up, and but yeah, that really that stunk.
At least you got to do the EP. Did you get to record in the studio together? You get to record it?
Yes, we are old school. We go to a studio. We rehearse. actually right now we're actually doing something we haven't done. Is we're gonna play a new song before we recorded it, because we had been rehearsing studio because there were no gigs. So like we're jazzed that we get to actually play a new song live that hasn't been recorded yet.
That's cool, exciting.
Yeah, and
I was going to ask,
I'm
who
sorry.
does the songwriting? Now, of course, who does the songwriting? Who does? Is it a combination? Does someone bring the material in? How does that work with your band? What's the process?
It is an open door policy for anybody. I seem like I spend a lot of my free time. I'm pointing at there's lyrics right all here. I got music stands up here. I spend a lot of my free time doing that. But on the second song, Marked in Red, on the new EP, Jason wrote most of that musically, like 80% of it. I think I arranged it, and then I wrote the lyrics. But Mitch wrote some lyrics for Green Planet, and so did Brock. And anything's open to change too. Nothing's in concrete. And it seems like hopefully the new stuff that we're working on will get even better, because I worry about it like having one person writing and then every song starts sounding the same. Like I'm very conscious of that right now.
It's nice to have all that input and everyone's ideas.
I do. I really want it, and I think it helps the band not sound the same. Yeah.
So tell us about the songs that have been the most successful in that EP. There were so many good ones. I think Awake. I know you did. Were there music videos for 2 of them that you've produced?
We did a video for. Well, go ahead, Jason. You talk.
Yeah, the first video we did off the EP, the 13 Degrees, was Beyond God. We did it. We've never shot a video before, and it was kind of I think our favorite out of all of them. I got a tie between Beyond God and Never the End. Never the End was the first song we wrote and recorded, so it's kind of your baby. You never forget about your first one. That's what that one was. But we wanted Beyond God. It seemed to have kind of the most hits online on iTunes and Spotify, so we thought it clicked with people.
I just put it in the chat feature. I'll put it also in the description as well, so everyone can check that out when we're off the air.
Yeah. And then we just did a video for Green Planet. It's so far our longest song we've done. I think it's probably the most proggy of the songs we've done, which some people will love, some people will hate, depending on what you're into. That video, we should have it any day now. We filmed it about a month ago. We're just waiting for it to be put together.
So tell us about that process of putting together a video. What I love it is the indie, independent bands now have so many avenues of putting your music out. But it's such a challenge because you don't have, there's only the 4 of you plus whoever else you enlist, right? It's really got to be you guys are driving the ship, right?
Right.
So what are some of the challenges? How do you come up with a creative concept and make it interesting? It sounded great. I love the songs.
We worked with a guy, Nick. How do I pronounce his last name? Nick Neat. His name is Nick Neat. He took all our pictures and he's just he did a video for Jason's other band, and that looked pretty good. And he had some ideas. I had some ideas, and hopefully that turns out. The challenge is, like everything, fiscally, paying for stuff.
Doing it on a limited budget. That's been the name of the game for all of us in the music business the last couple of years. Finding
a place to shoot it, like indoors, or we ended up doing it outdoors, and then you're dealing with the weather, which actually it ended up being partly cloudy that day, which for that song turned out really good. So, there's a blessing and a curse to that whole process. You get, total control because you're not dealing with the label, but usually the label pays for the video. But our guy is very affordable. So
People have become incredibly creative. I mean, I'm seeing really great, like I call this the era of the indie artist, because you see really great indie projects out there and interesting music, like yourself. I go through literally thousands of submissions, and to find something that grabs your attention, it's always exciting, because it's like that joy of discovering something new. I've been listening to rock and prog rock my entire life, my entire adult life, and whenever I find something interesting, I just love to track it down and see how it comes together. What are some of the influences that each of you bring to the bands? Like some of the groups that you grew up with loving?
For me, I'll never hide it, and I think everybody that knows me knows it. But I'm a huge Striper fan.
Ooh, Striper! I haven't
Striper.
heard them in a while.
I grew up a drummer, but it was along about 85, 86 when I first heard Striper. I was like, I got to become a singer, and I'm going to sing just like Michael Sweet. And I spent a lot of time when I was younger working on vocals, and then I discovered Queensryche and Dream Theater and Fates Warning, Geddy Lee, of course, and for me, those are all my influences still. I mean, that's music I still listen to every day. But like I said, I used to call it, Striper used to be a secret shame, but now I don't deny it. I don't hide it. Absolutely love it. John and I did a show with Michael Sweet just a few years ago in our cover band. And I got to sit down and talk to him for a little bit about, him being a big influence on me.
Isn't it amazing when you get to meet some of your influences? And what was it like meeting him? And what did you get from that?
You know what? It was the club we were playing at. The owner actually pulled up an old picture of me from when I was a kid that's on my Facebook page. And in 1986, I dressed up like Michael Sweet, had the full costume, yellow and black, homemade. Wow. My mom made it. And he walked over and showed it to Michael. And Michael pointed at me on stage and gave me the little come here finger. And we sat and talked about it for a little bit, and he actually wanted to call my mom on the phone and tell her thank you for making the coolest costume he'd ever seen. But absolute pleasure to meet him. He was a perfect gentleman, just a great person to sit and talk to. And I've actually gotten to meet him a few times since then, and he remembered me from the show we did, and had some really good conversations. Just it was cool to meet the guy you grew up always wanted to meet. And you always hope when you meet him, he's not a jerk, and he wasn't. He was cool.
That's so important. I'm with you there. I understand that you want to. After all those years, it's great to see that they're good people, right?
Yeah, and still had it that night. This is maybe 4 or 5 years ago, but nailed all that old high stuff. Yeah, still had it.
Love to hear that. Yeah, don't tell anyone. I often conduct opera and symphonic music, but I'm backstage getting myself pumped that I might have Queensryche on, or my kids know it, but no one else knows it. My classical colleagues generally don't know that I'm a rock fanatic. How about you, John? Some of your influences?
I'm a little older than they are, so I was a teenager of the 80s. So it started out with I'm a big Night Ranger fan, Loverboy, Rick Springfield. I think he is a underrated artist. The pigeonholed into Jesse's Girl.
You gotta get away from that song.
Their hit locks him in, right?
That's his moneymaker. But yeah,
how many hits does that song have on Spotify? Yikes!
Yeah. But then when I bought a bass when I turned 17. And everybody was playing metal, so I learned metal at a later age. And then in 1988, Operation Mindcrime came out and blew my mind.
Yeah, I love that one.
That, and I'm a big King's X fan. I love their vocals. Dream Theater. I like a new band or newish. They're called Haken. If you like Dream Theater, you will like Haken. Yeah. They are fantastic. But then I'm also like a big jazz. I love Sinatra. I'm a big Chick Corea fan.
Rest in peace, Chick Corea.
Yes.
Yep.
There's a book right behind here, a John Patitucci.
Absolutely.
Facebook right behind my iPad here. He's probably my favorite jazz bassist. That's about it. Am I missing anything?
That's a pretty broad spectrum
yeah,
there.
I like
that
a
tells
lot
us
of
a lot.
stuff.
You know, I love this conversation. It tells me so much about what you bring to it individually and how like that kind of becomes something totally new. All that influence comes together into this new package and new ideas. I love it.
Cool.
How about you, Jason?
The same ones they've mentioned for the most part. Probably a little even broader as far as metal goes. And you can almost hear it on the EP. There's a song called "Different Kind of Crazy," and that thing is so Ace Frehley'd out from Kiss. It's ridiculous. I think I stole every one of his riffs, but it fit the song.
Homage.
It fit the song, and that's what I grew up listening to and learning was Ace. Which I wish I would have learned or discovered Rush a lot sooner, just on the technicability side. Lately, I listen to a lot of Alex Lifeson, mainly because the music that we're doing reminds me a lot of Rush. And I'm kind of thinking, what would Alex do? Not that I want to steal his ideas, but you know, I don't want to Ace Frehley every song out. And then the other end of the spectrum, which is a funny story, when we recorded Beyond God, John gives me that crazy walking bass line during the solo. He's like, "This is where you're going to solo." And I'm working on the thing for a month, and I'm just frustrated because I cannot come up with something that I like. The night before, I had just came home from the Slayer farewell tour in Moline. And I usually play a Les Paul, and I happen to have my Charvel with the Floyd Rose sitting right next to me. So I grabbed it, and I'm getting frustrated, and I'm just literally just start doing this in the whammy bar, and I'm like, it kind of works. And I started playing around with it, and I got a Kerry King solo out of it.
I love it. I love that kind of that. It really was. It's kind of like, whoa, that's cool. Okay, then I got into the solos proper.
Yeah, there was an article that we had a review done, and I laugh about it. I've never ever considered myself a shredder by any means. I wish I was. I've just never got to that level, I feel. But it literally said the shredding solo on Beyond God, and I laughed. I'm like, that is the easiest. It's literally noise. It's literally just noise. And there are notes that follow what John's playing, but it's technically it's probably the easiest thing on the album.
It's all style, right? It's all style interpretation.
Yeah, that's right. It fits.
I love that style interpretation and kind of finding a new voice for it. What does prog rock mean today? And we've had prog rock since the 60s, right? Like 50s, 70s, late 60s, early 70s. What does prog rock mean today? Like, what does it mean to you guys?
I guess it means this. I think the same that it's always meant, doing something, not being contained in a box, doing, if you have an 8-minute song, we don't have an 8-minute song yet, but we have everything we have is usually 4, 5, or 6 minutes so far.
Pushing for that.
Stretching the boundaries.
Yeah. Trying to find something new that somebody's not going to hear on the radio
just
per
off the
se.
beaten path. Just not the same old, just different direction of everyday rock and metal.
Yeah, 2 verses, a chorus, a bridge, a guitar solo, chorus out. It's the standard formula for rock, and prog, you get a lot more than that.
A lot more possibility, right? A lot more chordal possibility. He's talking about bass. You talk about jazz, and it gives you so much, like adding some different types of chords, different types of harmonies, different rhythmic meters. There's so many possibilities. That's why, as a professional classical guy, I really enjoy the prog people because it gives just so much more variety of sound.
And it's fun to play. It's interesting to play. One of the things, my whole mindset when I started this was I wanted to write song. I kind of wanted to walk the line, for not lack of a better phrase, of making something that was somewhat accessible to people. Like, I like big choruses. Like I said, I'm a teenager of the 80s. So I like big choruses with lots of harmonies and stuff. But I would like something, maybe there's a bridge that's in 7/8 and something different just to make it interesting to play. I don't know.
Now, did any of you guys go to music school, or do you guys train? How did you guys learn? How did you guys come to become what you do?
I don't think anybody went to music school.
No, I took lessons. My mom grew up very poor, so she did what she could do, and she gave me a month of guitar lessons. And so I learned my cowboy chords and how to do power chords, and I learned one scale, and everything else is self-taught by ear or lately YouTube videos, stuff like that. Watching other artists, especially local artists. I love watching local guitar players. We have some incredible ones in the area, and I watch what they're doing every time I go see them.
It's always a chance to learn from your colleagues and to keep growing, and that's the name of the game. Is just while you're out there, continuing to grow, and you guys are really, really talented artists. Why I'm asking, I'm always amazed how people get there.
I at kind of my age, I was like a young musician when Dream Theater came out, and I kind of surrounded myself with people who had some musical knowledge. I've done a couple local musicals. That was eye-opening and terrifying. I don't read.
Reading the chart. Okay, you have to read those charts. Yeah,
I can read a little, and I get usually by the end of the 2-week performance cycle, I'm usually pretty good. But at the beginning, it is terrifying. I'm up there with a pencil, writing letter notes. This is a I have a little bit just. Got like Mark Elkins is good with theory, and I learned a lot from this other guitar player that he used to play with. But as for like any formal schooling, I would love it. I'd love to be able to, like I told my wife, my lottery dream is to quit my job and I would go back and get a music degree. Just I don't want to have to work and get it because I'm too lazy, but I need to not work to go to school. So. Mitch, do you have any?
Like I said, I started out as a drummer. I took about a month's worth of drum lessons when I was a kid. But me being a young and arrogant kid, I was already playing songs as opposed to wanting to sit in drum lessons doing the paradiddles and that. I was already in my own mind. I was above that, which I wasn't. Now that I look back on it, but I kept playing. I learned a lot just on my own, and then I picked up guitar in high school. I'd always been able to sing, never took a singing lesson. I met a good friend of ours who's another local singer, absolutely amazing singer, who did take some lessons, taught me a little bit in my early 20s about breathing exercises and warm-up techniques. But that's it, which is funny because now I've kind of come full circle from never taking singing lessons to, since my neck surgery, I've had to actually go through. I'm a little over a year into vocal therapy and vocal instruction now because I had some damage done to my throat during the surgery, and now I'm having to piece it back together a little bit at a time. So I'm not yet 100%, but obviously playing with these guys and back to, because I took some time off after my neck surgery, which is why I couldn't join them before the 13 Degrees EP came out. But doing this now and going through the therapy and practice and playing live shows, I'm getting there. I'm not where I was 2 years ago, but it's coming back.
Well, so approaching that technique, especially as I get older as a conductor, it's funny. Like as a young conductor, I can conduct big all the time. And it's the same with singers. It's learning that technique. You ask some of the older rock stars the training they have to do to keep their voice in top shape, and I've had a few of them on the show, and I'm always amazed by the discipline it requires, because what comes easy in our 20s is much harder. I'm 46, so a little more tricky now. I got to be more careful.
Totally.
Yeah.
But what are some of the bands you guys have played with and opened up for, and what are some of the exciting shows you guys have done before COVID?
As in this band, or just all of us in general?
I could be either. I'm just curious. Yeah.
This band we haven't really opened for anybody big yet. Other local bands. Yeah, there are some great local bands. I'm old, so I've opened for everybody 3 or 4 times. I've opened for Cheap Trick.
Oh,
who was everybody else? Seven? No, maybe not Seven Dust. The Seven Dust tours they come through here twice a year. Who does everybody else open up for? Enough's Enough.
Yeah.
Because they're a Chicago band.
I've done
You guys open for Night
I think
Ranger
we all
once,
have.
didn't you?
I've opened for Night Ranger.
We've all opened for Enough's Enough in different bands.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I was younger, I opened up for Nazareth. I'm gonna forget somebody that was kind of big. Enough's Enough.
You and I played
Bullet
Lita
Boys.
Ford.
Lita Ford.
We opened
Bullet
for
Boys.
Lita Ford. Oh my God.
Striper, Firehouse,
Kip Winger.
Kip Winger.
Mike Tramp.
Yeah, Mike Tramp's show was fantastic. That's another guy that's out on his own that is just an incredible musician, but his acoustic show is just, it's a storyteller show, and he's absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, definitely go see that. He sounds amazing.
He can't get over here.
Not right
I
now.
just saw
no.
he's stuck in Europe. He can't get a visa
Jeez.
because they won't let him out. Whatever. I think he's in Denmark.
Yeah, but he runs an alpaca farm in like Nebraska with his brother.
Oh,
That was one of his stories he told us the night we did the show.
I love it. That's amazing. It's so funny how many things we have to do to become musicians, right? And to make our music come alive. How versatile we have to become. And most people have other jobs. I know I'm a conductor, but I teach at a university, and there's just so many ways that we have to earn a living. But that music is the central part, and we keep on creating. And that's just so important to maintain your creative energy. What was it like? COVID hits. You guys just dropped the CD. You just dropped the EP. What was it like, coming to terms with that? No live performances, everything canceled.
I think for me personally, we didn't know how bad it was. It was, at first it was sort of terrifying because New York, the media and New York got hit hard.
New York was really bad.
Right. So we didn't know how bad it was going to be. So nobody did anything. Like we didn't rehearse for 3 months.
Yeah.
And then like about June or maybe May, stuff started to break. Some of the numbers here got better. And I said, hey, let's get together, stay apart. Well, we got together and jammed. So then I text the studio, the guy that runs the studio that we go to. And I go, hey, you aren't by chance open? And he goes, hell yeah, we've been open the whole time. And I'm like, well, I need some studio time. I got some songs because even in that 3 months, we had started new songs, and so that's what we did. It was frightening, but then here in Illinois, like last summer, it was pretty open.
Yeah.
Like outdoor stuff was pretty open. You had some places made you wear a mask, but it was pretty open, and we just did a lot of writing and recording.
So was there a lot of, like, when you finally got back together, what was it like getting back for that first rehearsal after all that time apart and all that kind of everything we've been through, right? Everyone's been through so much through this period. What was it like getting to make music with each other again?
To me, it was a relief to get back to reality because not only was I hit, like everybody else, with the COVID thing, my first grandchild was born.
Congratulations.
I had to go down. I was down in North Carolina for a month. So my daughter had some complications.
That's right.
Yeah, with the baby, and so he was in the hospital for a month, and it's my first grandchild. So my job is lucky enough where I can work remote. My daytime work comp insurance adjuster. So my boss is like, take your laptop.
That rocker by night, insurance adjuster by day. I love that.
I had an awesome boss, and he was like, take your laptop, and when you get back, you get back. So I got down there and told John, I'm like, there's some medical things going on. And he's like, no, whenever you get back, you get back. So I'm like, I'm not leaving until I see my grandbaby. So I was down there almost 6 weeks. And then I think we got together about 2 weeks after I got back into Illinois. It felt good to get back to normalcy. That felt normal to me, playing again. I didn't touch a guitar for a month and a half because I was gone.
Wow.
And to get back and have the guitar back in my hand, playing songs we had written, it felt really good.
And I just had my first live rehearsal with 100 singers. That was last Friday, and it was so emotional to get back up there and just go through the motions. I told the choir I've probably done like 7,000 rehearsals in my career, but it was so different. Like I was nervous just to get in front of people again, just to start the process. And so interesting how we just take it for granted. And I don't think you'll never take a rehearsal for granted again.
Right.
Yeah.
Very much so.
Yeah, I think you forget how much you love it when you can do it. Every usually together every Thursday to practice, and it's just the norm. And there's some nights I'm sure we all feel it's like I'd rather sit at home and watch TV tonight. We don't need to practice. We're good. And then you do it and it feels great. And when that COVID was going on and we couldn't, you really start missing it.
Yeah. Did you guys have a lot of material when you came back together? Because that was the one good thing about COVID is everyone had a lot of time to think and process.
I think John had about 2 or 3 songs pretty much ready for me to go.
We had the letter because I didn't join. I've been in the band officially a year now. I joined like June 7th of last year when I finally felt comfortable enough with my voice to come back to singing, especially this style of music. I think we started in June. I think the letter was first.
Brock and I tracked.
Yeah.
You were in South Carolina or North Carolina.
Yeah.
Brock and I tracked, and then you did.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So
yeah.
we did. A lot of the stuff that I start writing is in chunks. Like there's chunks behind this iPad. There's chunks of songs, and when we rehearsed, we put them together. I don't think other than maybe on the first EP, there were songs that were totally done, but we just get these chunks together and then start fleshing it out in rehearsal.
Comes to life, right? As everyone adds their elements to it. And...
Yeah, very much so. That's the way
That's how Martin Red was written. I had just come up with a bunch of. I don't really songwrite. I riff write, and I emailed John like 8 or 9 riffs, and he was like, I think I can do something with all this. And I think he took 3 of them, put them together, and it became Martin Red.
What's interesting is that your songs have a lot of variety too. There's not like a lot of bands have a similar signature, but they're all very different. I went through the whole EP, very different. Each one had its own kind of unique musical style. A lot of percussion underneath with different kind of ideas, and
yeah.
So it makes it interesting.
Yeah,
we do something, and it's sort of unintentional, but it seems like it works for us. And I think it drives the guy that runs the studio that we record at, which is Eclipse Studios in Normal, Illinois.
Shout out to the people who make this stuff happen.
One song at a time. And initially he was like, "Why don't you come in and take 4 hours and try and track, 2 or 3 drum tracks?" And I'm like, "No, because maybe that's how I focus. I need to focus on one song at a time, and it may not be super efficient, but." I think what you're saying there, and after I really think about it, when we do that, each song does have a little bit of a different sound or flavor to it.
Yeah, it's like here's our pop song, here's our metal song.
Right. Jason will play Wide Awake was done.
Wide Awake's got a real pop kind of chorus to it.
Right.
Yeah, I hear that. Yep.
So,
yeah.
To where he's using a 7-string tuned down to E flat on Green Planet. So yeah, it does give a little variety.
What are some of the plans the band has moving forward? And you're starting to perform live again, what was it like the first show back? Were you guys rusty? Was it how did it feel?
We rehearse a lot, so we didn't feel rusty.
I
Just I don't know.
We take pride in what we said earlier about not tracking, and we try not to record anything we can't pull off live. I mean, obviously there's some guitar overdubs just to make it more interesting, and it's not thin sounding. So there's some guitar overdubs, but even on like Beyond God, there's a guitar harmony in it where I double track 2 guitars. I went out and bought a harmonizer pedal so I could do it live. So you can hear it. I'm playing the same note, but I hit the harmonizer, there's a second guitar. So we try to, reproduce the CD as well as we can live. So therefore, when we do rehearse, we're on it. We all do our homework.
It's important. I mean, I love the stories. I was watching the documentary on Rush, and they were talking about putting together La Villa Strangiato and how incredibly hard that was. That was the hardest thing they ever did, and they never did that again. They said,
I believe it.
That's enough.
I believe it.
Putting that together.
That song.
Oh man, it's ferocious, and they said it almost killed them all. They were
I'm
like,
sure,
"This is the end," and they never did it again.
The hard part's remembering the whole thing. It's
That's what they
actually
said.
an easy
Yeah,
song
it's
to
the
play.
transitions, like
It's
20-minute
it's
song.
long.
Well, I look forward to seeing where you guys go as you come back together and start performing live again. And where can people go to find out more about you? What social media do you guys interact with? And where can the fans go? Check it out.
We're on the Facebook. We're on Instagram. We're on Spotify, iTunes,
YouTube,
all over YouTube.
Pandora.
Are we on Pandora?
Any streaming.
That's what my dad
streaming
uses.
app. We're on all the streaming apps.
Yeah.
What's it like? So
you
you guys are there, easy to find, you guys.
It.
Yeah. And John did a great job by naming us the Truth Council, because when you go in there, there's no songs called the Truth Council. There's no albums. You're not going to find like 3 rap artists with the song called the Truth Council or albums. I mean, if you type in the Truth Council, it's us.
I've had that where I bring a band on and I have the wrong. I haven't had it on the show, but like we were like the wrong band. Like one was called The Shook, and there were 4 The Shooks. I'm like, which Shook are you? And
I was looking for Jeff Tate's solo album from years ago, and there's a comedian called Jeff Tate, and it's spelled the same way. And iTunes, you have to pick which one it is.
Really?
Yep.
Oh, wow.
yeah, you guys are the only Truth Council. And that's a good name. It's a good one. And it also has a real ring to it. Like you remember it. You remember it quickly and comes to
Hopefully,
mind.
yeah.
We're not anti-political or anything like that.
We had a lady on our Facebook page that I think misconstrued us as like a political
Figure or something.
or a website, political website, and she left an
Oh no!
expletive-laden comment on our thing about it. And there's nothing political on anything.
Yeah.
We're a rock and roll band.
It's when COVID was going. He made Truth Council mask, and he had me put one on and took a picture.
Oh, that's what it was. That's what it was. Yeah.
Oh
You
no!
just put something like Jason says, wear your mask.
Yeah.
Because I was kind of an anti-masker in the beginning, and so
The masks
John
were
made a
slow
little
to
joke,
take hold. They were it was slow for the masks to really gain a foothold. So you're not alone.
Yeah, but she goes on there and just went off, and I'm this, I'm that. I'll do this what I want, and
F your Truth Council is what it was.
Yeah.
Oh no!
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny how people get really bent out of shape about the. That's the thing about having like
You suck rock on her, so.
a worldwide like it must be interesting to get like notes from people. You probably get emails from people all over the place. What's it like to see your music take off and like hit different countries and different cultures, and what's that been like?
It is very cool. There was an article in one of our newspapers locally. We had and I need to say this correctly. We had the #1 song at a radio station in Australia.
What? That's so cool.
But let me rephrase that. It was at the radio station. It wasn't the #1 rated song in Australia.
Billboard or nothing.
Because this and I explicitly wrote that in the email. We were the #1 song at that radio station, and this person took it as we had the #1 song in Australia. And I'm like, I told you that, so.
We also have day jobs, so that's obviously not true.
No, it's not true. But I mean, it is true.
Well, it's true,
in
but
that aspect.
not the billboard.
It is very cool to see. We get emails, and I've mailed stuff to Great Britain, Canada.
We hit #1 in Canada.
Ireland, marked in red.
Yeah, that radio station. That one guy. There's a guy in Iowa that loves
Ireland.
Marked in red. Oh, Ireland. That's
Ireland.
right. Yeah. So it is very cool. There's a local guy named Bob Long that helps. We need about 1,000 more Bob Longs in our area. Just big supporter of local music, original and cover.
He's got a lot of contacts.
He does. He's owned a music store forever, up until recently, and he will help local bands out just with email addresses and stuff like that.
I think we connected through. Was it through Bob Long that we connected?
It was through Bob. Yeah.
It wasn't Reverb Nation. Oh, that's right. I just love connecting through the show with bands. I think it's you really get to meet the people who are in the trenches making rock happen today. I think it's really a great thing.
Yes, that's us.
Yeah.
Well, it must be exciting to see your music have legs and wings and fly, Australia and Great Britain. And your music deserves to be played everywhere. I think it's really great stuff, and I think that it's only going to get better as you get out there and start making it happen and more people find out about it.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
I appreciate all you guys. We keep working hard, and can't wait to see when you guys come to New Jersey or New York. I'll be there.
Anytime.
All right.
Yeah.
Anytime.
Thank you so much. And make sure you check out these guys. Their music's fantastic. Their EP, check them out on YouTube and all the streaming platforms, the Truth Council. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us on Music Matters with Jason Tramm. Please remember to like and subscribe and smash that bell icon for the most up-to-date information on our upcoming guests and topics. We have 2 indie singer-songwriters coming up tomorrow. We have 2 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. We have Natalie Penn, who's got a big career as indie songwriter. We also have Natalie Duque, who's going to be at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So check them out tomorrow, and thank you so much. And remember, keep music alive.